Bill Plaschke, David Dennis Jr., Frank Isola on a back-to-back, Bill Barnwell. I need some help here, national panel. Any lip readers? I'm not sure. I got this last one. I wish. That's what I got. I got Steph and Clay, one of those NBA Cup moments you grew up dreaming about. Also, NFL news of the day, the Colts go back to Anthony Richardson. Let's go around the horn.
I think that's play you should have taken away.
I think he was talking about David in college. I think that's what he was saying. He said something about David.
I think Frank needs a little load management.
NFL news of the day, Indianapolis Colts lost both games, and now it's back to Richardson. Maybe in 2 weeks you could take time, catch your breath, have the game slow down. We've seen that with other quarterbacks before, but Bill Barnwell, around the horn to you. What are you reading into the return of Richardson?
Tony, this is the ultimate NFL example of, couldn't this have been an email instead of a meeting? Did we really have to sit Anthony Richardson on the bench for 2 weeks to learn this lesson, which we apparently have resolved after 2 bad Joe Flacco games? I mean, this move never made sense for on-field reasons. Anthony Richardson was always going to be a project coming out of school. We know what Joe Flacco is. He's almost 40. He's going to throw a bunch of interceptions. He might get hot and have 1 or 2 really good games. He is not the future of this franchise. And so I'm not sure what Anthony Richardson is supposed to have learned watching Joe Flacco play. It just feels like a punishment for Anthony Richardson telling the truth about what happened and how he came out for a play. Really, if he had just lied, none of this would have happened and everything would be better off for him.
Frank Isola, what are you reading into the Colts' decision today?
Well, come on, Bill. I mean, you said he could have played well for 2 games. He played well for 5 games last year for Cleveland. I'm talking about Joe Flacco, threw 13 touchdown passes, and they made the playoffs. So the Colts were looking to catch lightning in a bottle, and it comes at a time right after Anthony Richardson, tapped out of a game. And I think at that point, there was nothing wrong with it. Let's look around the league. Bryce Young, what's happened to him? In and out. Jaden Daniels with the Commanders. He's been good enough to play. Caleb Williams, we don't know about. All these young quarterbacks, the idea that you just have to give them the job and you live with it, no matter if they win or lose, I have no problem with what the Colts did. Now's the good time. Go back to it.
David Dennis Jr., your read on it?
Well, the difference between Richardson and those quarterbacks that you mentioned is that the Colts brought Richardson in saying from the very beginning he is going to be a project. Have patience with the guy. We're going to see what he can contribute. He's younger than those guys that you mentioned, even though he came into the league a couple years ago. And so you have Richardson all of a sudden, you're pulling him from the game. Looks punitive because the guy said he was tired. You can't have. It looks like an organization to me that looks like they just do not have direction right now. Is this a project? Is this a guy that you're working on for the future, or do you want to win now with Joe Flacco? And right now they're in some purgatory where they're really not accomplishing anything.
And Bill Plaschke, around the horn to you.
Oh, I think they have clear direction, David. I think they did exactly the right thing. They had to send a message to Anthony. They had to send a message to the locker room that this was not going to be accepted, that you can't tap out of a game. They had to let him know, for him to become a leader again, they had to break him down and let everybody know he was going to pay the price for this. And he paid the 2-game price. And he watched and he learned, and maybe he grew up a little bit, and maybe he got scared straight, and we'll see. But I think it's important that what they did was very important. It shows that they have direction. I think moving forward, the fact that Flacco had 6 turnovers in 2 games probably helped move this process along a little bit, but it's still a very important process.
David Dennis Jr., you're shaking your head no.
Yeah, because what did you accomplish by punishing the guy and putting him out for 2 games? He didn't, you just taught him to lie. That's basically what you taught him to do. You didn't teach him to have better conditioning. He doesn't learn anything playing behind Joe Flacco. All he learned is that next time he's tired, don't say you're tired. And what are you actually accomplishing
Frank
by doing
Isola?
that?
Well, number one, why are you signing Joe Flacco? There's a reason why Joe Flacco's on the team. He knows at some point he's probably going to play. David's right about a project, but when the project is struggling, it's okay to take a couple of steps back and say, you know what, let's let another quarterback in. And, the head coach has to take the temperature of the locker room. And the players might have been losing faith, and they said, you know what, let's go for it right now. If it works out, great. If not, then we'll go back to Anthony Richardson, and that's what they did.
I appreciate that you guys are really locking in on that moment where he asked out of the game 3 weeks ago. But the reality is this is a quarterback who's completing passes at a rate lowest in the NFL over the last 20 years, right. Under 50%. Last word, Bill Plaschke.
Yeah, if they did not bench him, they would have lost the locker room. They'd have lost him. They're trying to salvage something out of this. And he's a project. They know it. The rest of the season will be a project for him. There's no problem with it.
We've been horned, we'll move on. Playoff rankings week 2, or edition 2, I should say. It keeps on getting better. They put the bracket out there, and they also tell us the first 2 out. I love the way it looks. And what we have now, as far as you people, is everybody bemoaning the placement while decrying that no team has beaten anybody. I love this. This is why we have a playoff. You get to beat bodies. Oregon, Texas, BYU, Miami, top 4 in the bracket. In the bracket, first out, Georgia and SMU. Frank Isola around the horn to you on edition 2 of the rankings.
Yeah, it's hard not to look at Georgia, and to me, they're clearly one of the top 12 teams. But this is what's exciting about this format, and it makes every regular season count. So Georgia is going to play a game against Tennessee, which is essentially an elimination game. And I'll tell you another thing, another team that's sitting pretty right now is Indiana. They're going to play Ohio State eventually. Even if they lose, it looks like they're going to stay in that top 12. And God bless Penn State. They didn't beat Ohio State. They did beat Washington last weekend, and they somehow moved up. So good for them.
David Dennis Jr., take away from edition 2.
Yeah, I want to stick with Georgia here. There's a lot of Georgia fans who woke up kind of confused this morning. Like, we're ranked 12th, but we're not one of the 12 best teams in the country. Like, how does that quite work out? We're right on the outside. We've beaten the best team in the SEC. We've beaten Clemson, who may be the best team in the ACC or win the tournament, ACC championship by the end of this season. There's a chance of them doing that. And the idea is that they have not done, they're not good enough because the offense is not good enough. Like, it's really confusing if you're a Georgia fan, and it feels like there's a belief that eventually they'll get back in there and earn their way back in there. But why not just put them in there now?
Bill Plaschke, around the horn to you.
The top teams will always work themselves out. They always do. Every year we complain, every year it works out. I'm looking down at number 24, Army. Army's the team I'm looking at. Tulane made the poll of 25 now. Tulane will be on their schedule. Notre Dame's on their schedule. The path is clear for Army to sneak past Boise State and get into the top 12. That would be so awesome.
Oh,
I'm
the
cheering
path
for
is
Army.
clear. Some thought Army wasn't getting respected. You're seeing a path for Army. Bill Barnwell, around the horn to you.
No idea why Penn State is as high as it is in these rankings. They have one win over a ranked opponent. That was Illinois, which has lost 3 games. Their most noticeable win, their most significant win is what? Beating USC in overtime where they needed a comeback? Sub 500
Hey,
USC.
easy.
Tennessee has one loss. They beat Alabama. Is that not a more impressive win than anything Penn State has? I don't see this
This
one.
is what I'm hearing. Oh, Texas, who have they beaten? Their best win is Vanderbilt. Oh, who has anybody beaten? Frank Isola, around the horn to you.
Yeah. There are 7 teams in the SEC right now that have 2 or fewer losses. And we all know that the SEC has the best conference, but clearly some of these teams are going to be on the outside looking in. One thing about that Army-Notre Dame game, that's going to be played at Yankee Stadium, where for the World Series they kept the press box windows open, and Bill Plaschke was complaining about that. Yeah. We haven't had a college football game played in New York that has mattered probably in about 50 years, for crying out loud.
Okay.
How cool is that?
For you, it's pretty cool, it sounds like. Bill Plaschke, last word on this.
The best team I've seen this year, I watch a lot of college football, the best team I've seen this year is Indiana. Indiana's the best team I've seen. They're so underrated. They're going to beat Ohio State.
Some would ask, who have they beaten? And this is what I love about this. Everybody's going to have a chance. But in the moment, it appears, doesn't it, that they are favoring teams' wins over strength of schedule. Right? Doesn't it? It seems like
head-to-head.
Yeah.
Still time to shake it all out.
Good.
Taking a break here. Buy or sell is next with the NBA Cup, just like we dreamed of when we were kids. Golden State 120, Dallas 117. The NBA Cup runneth over. Steph Curry, the comeback and the game winner, and he was the hero. Klay Thompson, still the captain. We did the story yesterday where Thompson said it was going to be just a normal game in November. Everyone saw through that. Obvious cap from the captain. But still, this whole night exceeded expectations, right? The love going on for hours, walking with employees with the captain hats. The fans cheering 60 minutes before the game in warm-up. 80-second ovation. Klay Thompson had already asked Curry to scrap the scheduled speech because he was worried he couldn't handle it. Curry and Draymond didn't even make it on the court for the video because they were worried they'd be wrecked as well. Every note hit. So Bill Plaschke, around the horn to you and how you remember last night.
It was the most perfect homecoming of any player I've ever seen.
Agreed.
They brought the love, all those employees, all the sailor caps, all the ovations. They brought the love, and then they brought the heat. then they welcomed him, then they tried to beat the hell out of him. And that was tremendous. Steph Curry, 12 points in the last 4 minutes to win the game. He guarded Klay on the first after the opening tip. He fouled him. Klay did a shimmy. Curry said, don't do the shimmy. Klay made a three. Curry made a three. Back and forth, back and forth. It was tremendous. It was just the perfect homecoming.
David Dennis Jr.
Yeah, we've never seen a homecoming game like this in the NBA. We usually have this thing where the crowd hates the player so much, like when KD went back to OKC, or you have these love fests, like when Dwayne Wade goes back to Miami, or when LeBron goes back to Cleveland now. But we had this middle thing where everybody was showing love to Klay, and then the game starts. As soon as Steph hits his first three, he's pointing at Klay. Klay's shimmying. They're talking trash to each other because underlying all of this is the fact that these guys want to prove that they are in a better situation than they were last year when they were together. Klay wants to prove that he's in a better situation in Dallas, and the Warriors, Steph and Draymond in particular, are trying to prove that we still have a championship run in us, and it felt like a playoff game last night, and at the end, they were friends again.
And for the moment, David, if you will, who do you think came out looking or feeling better?
Well, the Warriors came out looking better because they look like a team that's as good as that 2022 team that won the championship, and Steph looks just as
Whoa,
good as
there's
he
a hot
did back
take.
then.
Okay.
35 points on back-to-back games. The only players of that age to do that are Michael Jordan and LeBron James. They have the depth to compete like
Frank
they did a couple years
Isola
ago.
on last night.
I still love how Steve Kerr is going 11 and 12 men deep, but at the Olympics with the 12 best American players, he only went 10 men deep. I still get a kick out of that. But, you know, the Warriors are a first-rate organization. They proved it again last night. Anybody that comes in contact with Klay Thompson, you like him because he's a nice guy. There's a goofiness about him that's very redeeming. And, you know, at the end of the night, it's still Steph Curry hitting the big shot, finishing with 37 points. You have to make tough business decisions a lot of times. They made a tough one, but I hate to say it, but right now the Warriors are better off. It doesn't take away anything that Klay did when he was there, but they made the right move.
Bill Barnwell.
Yeah, I would say seeing the competition escalate as the night goes on. I mean, even if you're on good terms with your ex, you still want to look good in front of them. You still want to show off a little bit. And it felt like we had two people, you know, two sides showing off here. I will say, though, should we be having a conversation about the Mavericks, which have lost 5 out of 7 now. They've had 3 games now where they've had the opportunity to win or tie in the final 10 seconds. And with Luka and with Klay, have not been able to win the game. It felt like the final 4 minutes of this game were happening to them as opposed to being a part of it. A little concerned that they're not on the Warriors level right now.
Just real quick, though, Frank, do you think part of Klay wishes maybe he stayed in Golden State?
Well, it's hard. You know, guys want to get paid for what they did, but teams can't look at it like that. There's a salary cap involved, and you want to get younger. You cannot tell me, Tony, when he left that building last night, he said, you know what? I had a great thing going there. I bet you he missed it more after last night's game than he did when he first signed with the Dallas Mavericks.
Buy or sell to Joel Embiid's return to the court, 13 points, 2 of 11 shooting, 26 minutes. Sixers lost by 12 to New York to fall to 2-8. Tonight, Embiid and Paul George both out for injury maintenance on their back-to-back game. David, what do you buy, what do you sell from last night's return?
I'm selling the panic that's going around in Philadelphia for now. Embiid, of course, did not look great last night, but that's because the guy's ramping up, coming off of more injuries. But I think the good thing that they have in their favor right now is that East is so much worse than a lot of people expect them to be. Milwaukee's out of the picture. The Knicks don't look that great. When the season started, you would hope that they would have been somewhere in the second or third best teams in the East. And if they can get people healthy in a few weeks, I think they're right back in that spot.
Frank Isola?
You know, it's the first game that he played since the gold medal game at the Olympics, so he looks rusty. What bothers me more is after the game when he comes out and says, you know, I want to play, but it's really up to them. So he never should have told Tim Bontemps, I'm not going to play back-to-back. So tonight is the first back-to-back from his home back-to-back. He's not going to play. So in the era of player empowerment, I can decide to coach, my teammates, what hotel we stay in, if I practice. But when it comes to playing, whoa, that's out of my hands. That's those guys. Come on, Joel, give me a break. It's a little exhausting. It really
Bill
is.
Barnwell?
Yeah, David's saying that if they can just get healthy, they're going to be fine. they're not healthy and the season just started. What's going to get them healthier as the season goes along? I mean, Joel Embiid played his second slowest game of the last 2 years, according to Second Spectrum. He was playing a Knicks team that plays at the slowest pace in all of basketball. If there was ever going to be a game where he'd be able to keep up, it would be this one, and he
Bill
could not.
Barnwell with the geospatiality stats here from Second Spectrum. And Bill Plaschke.
Yeah, Embiid looked terrible. He made 2 shots. He was barely moving. He's getting beat on defense consistently. And now they're taking tonight off. PG's not playing either. They're 2-8. It doesn't look good for that. I'm so sick of this load management stuff, and especially with PG. There's a reason he was booted when he came out to the Clippers. Because he pulled this stuff all the time.
Well, you recognize people like, you got to play. You can't get hurt. I mean, there's two opposite forces pulling here. Buy or sell 3, horrendous, the word used to describe the game-losing call in the NBA Cup. Eric Spoelstra, you never see this from him. Game-tying game-ending oops when he called timeout they didn't have. Technical free throw, Pistons win in the last second. Here's Spoelstra after the game.
That's on me. I feel horrible about it. There's really no excuse for that. I'm 17 years in. We had talked about it in the huddle. I knew that we didn't have anything. I just got emotional, and I just made a horrendous mistake.
Frank, buy or sell Spo's explanation.
I'm buying it all the way. That court was also horrendous. One of the reasons we love sports is because they're played by people, and that's a very human reaction. He made a mistake. He owned up to it. He actually set a really good example for a lot
Bill
of people.
Barnwell?
Yeah, the first thing coaches tell you when you talk to them is do no harm. And Spo, unfortunately, did harm here. Tyler Hero was awesome in the fourth quarter of this game, brought them back. That was overshadowed. Bad moment, but coaches make mistakes.
Bill Plaschke?
Everybody's showing understanding now. What were they showing Chris Webber 31 years ago? They were killing him. They were ripping him.
See, this is what I wanted to get to. I'm hearing coaches
all
made a mistake.
different now.
You guys are killing Embiid for not playing back-to-back. You're killing everybody when they miss a shot. And now it's coaches make mistakes, but it's
one
Spoelstra.
mistake.
Okay, but it is a mistake. David Dennis Jr.
Well, I mean, I think there's a slight difference between a national championship and a regular season game against the Detroit Pistons. But
Bingo. Yeah, that's true.
Here's what I think about the Spoelstra thing: is that
What's the NBA
can
Cup,
anybody
David?
name the last big blunder that Eric Spoelstra had before this? You probably can't because he does not have many.
no.
This is just a mistake that
I hope
great
you
players,
apply
great
that.
people have.
I hope we
happen.
apply that. And the mishap of a scoring, adjudication here on this show. Just a mistake sometimes.
It's been perfect. So far.
Plaschke, Isola. Out. Dennis Barnwell. Showdown next.
It's a little bit more explosiveness for us as an offense, and being able to help out the complementary football thing that we really want to attack.
Adam, take us through how this has all gone down over the last day in Chicago.
Listen, there were organizational conversations, and Matt Eberflus made it very clear that there was going to be some type of organizational change. And they went through a lot of different questions and situations and how they were going to handle it, including the idea that potentially they could even bench Caleb Williams, which came up in the organization. They ultimately decided not to do that, but they did decide to make a change at offensive coordinator that came after they made the decision not to make a change at offensive coordinator. So they went back and forth until Tuesday morning came, and Matt Eberflus informed Shane Waldron that they were making a change. And now the pressure will be on Caleb Williams, the offense, and the new offensive coordinator, Thomas Brown, who came over to Chicago after experiencing a similar situation in Carolina last year. Thomas Brown helped take over once they made the coaching change. He was in charge of working with Bryce Young, and now it'll be similar in Chicago, trying to work with Caleb Williams and make sure that he fulfills the potential that they saw in him when they made him the #1 overall pick.
Dan, what do you want to see from Caleb, this Bears offense on Sunday? They play the Packers.
Conviction. I want to see conviction in everything that they're doing, play call wise. Why are we doing it? Having a very specific understanding of why we're calling that play. And then the quarterback, cut it loose, dude. Throw the football, okay? I think the second thing is this. It's 2024, Chicago. You should not be using play action motion this little. I've talked about this on this show for 4 or 5 years now. So more of that where you're getting motion to maybe give him an indication of what the coverage is, maybe to create advantage. Give me more play action so you cut the field in half and I can just read 1 to 2 to 3 and the ball can come out. I would have plays, and I would go in personnels, like something that Buffalo does. I think something that Denver does with Bo Nix. They get into personnels with like 6 offensive linemen. So I'm telling the defense, line up in single high safety defense, meaning 1 safety in the middle field. Give me man coverage. Caleb, you're throwing the ball to Romo Dunze down the field. I don't care. Unless they double team him, check it down. We used to do that with Calvin.
Yeah.
Get into the personnel. They're going to play him one-on-one. Just throw him the ball. I don't care. You know, and I think just getting him to play faster.
Yeah,
just
right.
getting him to play
You
faster.
like that one.
You give him
Shocker.
a chance to, and just let's get our receivers more involved in the game.
I love that you said conviction. I think part of it, with everything that's happening for Caleb Williams, you're firing an OC, a new guy, the guys around him have to step up. There's moments where he's hitting his back foot and he's looking to get the ball out, and guys are blanketed. So you have to find a way, to your point, of making easy throws. You mentioned Bo Nix, the amount of wide receiver screens that the Denver Broncos throw where the ball hits his hands and he's just getting it out quick.
Yes.
So whether it's little Jordan Humphrey or Vele, just allowing those guys to make plays. And for Caleb Williams, he's never going to lose that playmaker mentality that he has. Right there, you're seeing him outside the pocket. Do that more often, where it's boots and it's things, or even it's just play action and he's dropping and he's moving at an angle within the pocket. So for him, he feels like he's moving around.
Yeah,
he's a part
that's
of
good
the
point.
game.
And then maybe he becomes a threat as a runner as well quickly.
Yes.
Which he can do. Dan, just quickly, when you think about this offense, maybe for people to understand, there is a lot that's on Caleb, right, that he's trying to process and communicate that's a lot different from some of what Jaden Daniels might have to deal with, or maybe even Bo Nix. Like you're talking about the simplify element of this. Can they do that in a week and pare some of this down for him?
I think you can, and it starts with the protections. Unless Caleb has an unbelievable understanding of what the protection is, the problem, and how to solve it, don't call it. Just get rid of it. You don't need 900 protections going into a game plan.
Right.
You really need 3 or 4 that you feel confident in, that you can operate. And if that's the best, go about it that way. And take that load off of him when it comes to standing at the line of scrimmage and trying to figure out everything and to be perfect. Just get him to play fast before the ball gets snapped.
Yeah, play fast, Dan, and that means getting rid of the football fast and not holding on to it, which is something that they've done. And so that is one of the issues. And you have that issue. You guys have brought up the other quarterbacks. That's also a part of this as well. We're seeing right now Jaden Daniels make strides every week and get better. Bo Nix makes strides every week and get better. Drake May makes strides every week and get better. And Caleb Williams, the #1 overall pick, the quarterback many deemed to have the greatest upside of all, hasn't made those strides. Thus, the Bears make the change they did this week and now go into a game on Sunday facing a tough Green Bay Packers defense.
We overcomplicate this too much. We do. Okay, here's
It's
Bears, this is what you do. You're calling 5 keepers this game. You're going to take 1 shot a quarter to Romo Dunze on one-on-one. That's just about 10 snaps. Give Keenan Allen 5 different choices. That's 15. And then get DJ Moore and DeAndre Swift 6 touches quickly, easily. That's 25 to 30
Hey,
throws.
Adam, they need an offensive coordinator.
just
Watch
about to
out,
say.
Dan.
It's not hard.
I don't know if the family wants to.
I was just going to say, I cannot believe that they hired Thomas Brown and not Dan Orlovsky. Dan would have
Thomas is good.
Caleb
Don't believe
Humming
that,
on
Chef.
Sunday.
You don't believe that, Chef?
Thomas is a good coach, man.
Dan, sorry, you walked right into that. We're going to go to break before anything materializes here. Coming up next, we're just getting started. One of the biggest games of the weekend as the Bills look to spoil the Chiefs' perfect season. We'll hear from both Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes on how they're preparing for this matchup. Plus, with Lamar Jackson playing MVP caliber football, how can the Steelers slow him down and this offense down? Well, J-Max got the answers. You don't want to miss that. NFL Live is presented by USAA. Let's honor those who served this Veterans Day. And in part by UFC 309, Jones Miocic. Saturday, buy now at ESPNplus.com/PPV.
Matt Cooper, lose Kincaid. That would mean a bigger role for Dawson Knox, but no practice today for Dalton Kincaid is not the way you want to start the week, especially when the Bills already have ruled out their rookie wide receiver, Keon Coleman. So no Keon Coleman this week, very possibly no Kincaid this week, and they're waiting to see on Cooper, though the signs right now are a little bit encouraging.
Man, last thing you want to deal with when you got to face the Chiefs, and this game has massive implications for the 1 seed. Really important. If the Chiefs win, they'll have a 93% chance to earn the 1 seed, according to ESPN Analytics. They'd be 3 games ahead of the Bills in the loss column, and they'd have the head-to-head tiebreaker. It's much muddier if the Bills win. Buffalo would have a 34% chance for the 1 seed. The Chiefs' chances would fall to 55%. KC would still be 1 ahead in the loss column, but the Bills would have the tiebreaker. So, again, this matters a lot for the playoffs. Here's Allen and Mahomes on facing each other Sunday.
I've been able to go up against Josh a multitude of times, and every single game it seems like it comes down to the very end. And he's a guy that competes, and he has that fire. I think you can see that fire that he plays with, and that kind of goes through his entire team. We know it's going to take our best football. I think that's what we know, and if we don't, we're going to lose.
This week? Yeah. It's a Week 11 game. It's no bigger and no less than the last 10 games that we've had, and that's I know the media perception and the fan perception and what this game means, but for us, it's just Week 11 for us.
Oh, Josh, I don't know if I believe that. Not against the Chiefs, especially considering how many times the Chiefs have held them out of postseason contention or maybe Super Bowl contention. But anyway, Jason, for Allen and the Bills to win this, what needs to happen?
I got 3 keys for them, things that they have to do. And if they do those things, we'd always talk about it. You have a chance to win this game. The first one is edge pressure. The Chiefs tackles, that is a weak spot for them. Kingsley Suamataia came in the game when Wanye Morris got hurt. Wanye came. There's already no Keon Coleman. You're going to have to do those things. And then it comes down to the red zone. You have to, against this Chiefs team, be able to show up and force them to kick field goals. If they're scoring touchdowns, you have no chance to be able to win that game.
Yeah, I love that Shakir point because that's kind of what they want to do. The Chiefs offensively are like the walking example of balance when it comes to a balance of identity and then a balance of touches. There's not a central person that they try to get the football to. When they want to get Hop the ball, they'll put him up there by himself, 4 guys away. J-Mac, it's just, hey, one-on-one. If it's one-on-one, we're going to give Hop simple routes. Go win on a hitch, go win on a slant. Ball comes out, that safety plays in the middle of the field. This is easy. That's pitch and catch for a quarterback. We're not trying to get 30 yards. We're just trying to get an efficient 6 or 7 yard completion. Hey, this time we want to get Travis Kelce the ball. There's that 4-strong formation that's kind of going around the NFL. Hop's away from him. They're going to double team Hop this time. Great. Let's get Travis in space. Again, I'm not trying to get a huge chunk play. I just want efficiency. You know what? Let's get a touch. Kareem Hunt. This is that kind of condensed bunch where they'll just take 2 of those tight ends, shrink them down. Hunt, that ball's thrown at the line of scrimmage, but it goes for 30. We're going to make you tackle us in space. And everyone's talked about this offense. Guys, they control the game. They're number 1 in 10-play drives. They'll demoralize you. Every time they get the ball, you better count on 2 first downs because they average almost 7 plays per drive. You're going to get the ball for about 26 or 27 minutes in the game. So to understand the connected element of football, Buffalo, if you get 9 possessions a game, you're at best getting 8 in this game. More than likely, you're getting 7. That's the challenge that this Chiefs offense presents to you. No, they're not crazy explosive, but they own the football.
Isn't that specifically challenging maybe for a quarterback like Josh Allen who doesn't want to get impatient, who wants
It's like, oh my gosh, you get into the third quarter and you're down 3 and there's 8 minutes to go. I'm going to get the ball 2 more times. You forced the ball. I wanted to ask J-Mac this because you made the red zone point because the Bills defense is good. They're great in the red zone. This week, is this an overemphasis of red zone defense? A focal point?
Absolutely. That graphic you put up there where it's just first, you know you have to be really good in those areas. And on top of all of that, when I was in New England, whenever we would play against the Kansas City Chiefs, we would spend extra time in the red zone Thursday at the end of practice because how good Andy Reid was in designing plays. Remember, that's when Travis Kelce would go to quarterback. They'd run option plays. That's where the shovel passes show up. So their offense changes a little bit the closer they get to the end zone of finding ways to punch it in.
Golly, I mean, the other thing, too, Patrick Mahomes isn't even playing anywhere near his best football at all this season, and you see those offensive numbers. Coming up next on NFL Live, it's time